For the first time in 3 years, Samsung is going down market with its Note line, releasing a slightly more affordable variation of the Note 3, the Note 3 Neo. This is Ray with PhoneArena and you're watching our Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo review. So what could make the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo a viable alternative to its larger sibling? Obviously, this would be the cheaper price, but naturally we'll also have to take a look at its upper mid-range specs in order to make sure that there isn't anything that could put customers off there. At first glance though, things are looking pretty good. There's a fairly large 5.5-inch display, an 8-megapixel camera and a hexa-core Exynos chipset. So yeah, it's going to be more than interesting to see what this configuration is capable of. Fasten your seatbelts, guys, we're going in. If you thought it's high time for Samsung to finally surprise us with some real innovation in the field of design, you're right. However, this will once again have to be postponed for the future, because the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo is just another Samsung-y phone. Very similar to the Note 3 in its external design, the Note 3 Neo comes with a light grey side rim and a removable back cover that resembles notebook leather. The removable back means you can quickly swap batteries, plus there is also a microSD card slot for more storage in the best of Samsung's traditions. The S Pen stylus is tucked the same way you'd find it on the Note 3, at the lower right corner. In terms of in-hand feel, the Note 3 Neo is not bad at all. It's comfortable to hold in use, though needless to say, it's quite big. It is impossible to perform certain actions with only one hand. Still, we have to acknowledge that the Note 3 Neo is more pocket-friendly and easier to operate than most other phablets with a similar display diagonal. The physical buttons, which includes the home, volume and power keys, are a typical Samsung affair, meaning that they are of okay execution but nothing spectacular. Hopefully they won't cause any trouble in the long run. Taking out the S Pen, which is found in the bottom right corner of the phone, is a bit harder than it should, but at least it sits firmly in its place so you don't have to worry about accidental falling off or stuff like that. The Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo sports a sizable 5.5-inch display which has 720p resolution, resulting in a 267 ppi pixel density. Now this number may not sound especially pleasing on paper, but we have to admit that things do look pretty clear on the Neo's display. Sure, it would have been even better if it had 1080p resolution, but 720p still manages to deliver enough density to guarantee a comfortable and pleasing viewing experience. The screen size, which is just slightly smaller than that of the Note 3, is also quite impressive. At 5.5 inches, the Note 3 Neo has bigger viewing area than most smartphone flagships out there, which makes it ideal for all kinds of media consumption. Now, we have to say that it's still of the Super AMOLED variety, so it will offer you oversaturated and inaccurate colors, but also very deep black levels and very good viewing angles. Identically to what's evident with Samsung's other AMOLED displays, the one of the Galaxy Note 3 Neo suffers from insufficient red color as well as overly bright blue color. In terms of maximum brightness, the Note 3 Neo can get up to about 390 nits, which is pretty mediocre. Outdoor visibility isn't very good with this phone. Things are not unmanageable, but they could certainly be a lot better. Thankfully, at least the minimum brightness is quite good. It can go down to just 4 nits, which will enable a very comfortable viewing in the dark. No Samsung phone comes without the TouchWiz user interface, so that's what you get with the Galaxy Note 3 Neo. It's pretty much the same software that's also found on the Note 3, so no compromises have been made in the functionality department. Once you get past the lock screen using a random swipe gesture, the home screen is your typical affair. You can have up to 7 pages for widgets and app shortcuts, while the home screen settings are accessible via a long press on an empty part of the screen. The app launcher is fairly standard, with apps being a completely separate tab from widgets. There's also a third tab showing you just your downloaded applications. In terms of extra functionality, you can expect all the bells and whistles that come with Samsung's homemade user interface, like Smart Stay, which keeps the screen on while you're looking at it, and the multi-window mode that can run two different apps on a split screen. The Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo's display size is very conducive to multitasking. And when you add the S Pen apps to the mix, the handset becomes in a league of its own. It offers the excellent S Note application, various drawing and annotating features in the gallery or calendar, as well as the air view and air gestures that let you hover above the display with the stylus or a finger, marking links and evoking pop-up info. Typing on the largest display with one hand is still a chore when you have to reach for the upper left or right corner of the keyboard depending on which hand you use for the task. We have a new kit on the Exynos block, and it's the hexa-core CPU found in the Galaxy Note 3 Neo. It has two Cortex A15 cores clocked at 1.7 GHz maximum and 4 Cortex A9 cores clocked at 1.3 GHz. The new Exynos is paired with a decent graphics processor, the ARM Mali T624, so it's unlikely you will experience interface or app lag. As a matter of fact, the Galaxy Note 3 Neo runs very fluidly, and it's really hard to make the handset stutter for a moment. Samsung has put 2GB of RAM in the phablet, so you can line up many apps open at the same time without slowing it down. There are 16GB of internal memory plus a microSD card slot for additional storage space. Samsung's TouchWiz browser has proven to be one of the faster renderers out there, but with recent updates made to the Chrome browser, it's safe to say that Google's offering is to be preferred at the moment, especially if you're also using Chrome on your desktop. In terms of performance, we can't find any issues with the Note 3 Neo and its browsing experience. Web page navigation and zooming are smooth and fast, while text is fine enough to be read easily. Galaxy Note 3 Neo offers plenty of connectivity radios and features, such as Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Direct, Bluetooth 4, AGPS, DLNA and FM. More importantly, it has built-in LTE support for downlink speeds of up to 150 megabits per second and uplink of up to 50 megabits per second. That said, the Note 3 Neo also has HSPA Plus support should you end up lacking 4G coverage. 8-megapixel BSI camera on the back of the Note 3 Neo has an LED flash underneath it, and there is also a 1.9-megapixel front-facing shooter for video chats and selfies. This being a Samsung smartphone, it offers an abundance of shooting modes like HDR, panorama, beauty face, best photo and more, arranged in an easy-to-flip-through carousel, as well as plenty of color effects you can apply to your pictures and videos. Additionally, there are also must-have settings like ISO, metering, stabilization, face detection and resolution. The Galaxy Note 3 Neo captures some pretty sweet 8-megapixel photos with no major issues standing out. Photos have a mostly detailed, natural look to them. The colors have a realistic look with just enough saturation to achieve a lively feel. Overall, we are very pleased with the camera. Sadly, brighter areas tend to get overexposed as the handset tries to set the appropriate settings for the image you're trying to frame, but in most cases this can be easily fixed by switching the HDR option to on. Indoor and low light performance of the camera is decent. Thankfully, it manages to keep the images mostly noise-free, though you should pay special attention not to shake your phone while shooting in such conditions, as this may easily introduce blur into your photographs. The LED flash isn't particularly powerful, so it only manages to illuminate things that are just a small distance in front of you. 1080p video recording quality is tolerable. It's mostly detailed and fluid, though it doesn't really blow us away with anything. Colors are once again on the natural side, while the sound is a bit harsh and lacking depth, but it's relatively clear nonetheless. The music player interface with its blocky elements is familiar from many Samsung phones. The UI might be unimpressive, but it offers all the basics like song categorization, as well as an abundance of equalizer presets and sound modes to choose from. We also get a stock video player that runs all popular formats like MKV, DivX and XVID without a hitch, and up to 1080p resolution at that. Its interface and options leave something to be desired though, but you can always grab a better one from the Play Store. Still, we have to admit that it's a wonderful experience to watch video on the large and vibrant screen of the Galaxy Note 3 Neo. As a phone calling device, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo is an average performer. Voices tend to have moderate volume, but they aren't especially loud, meaning that you may have some trouble hearing your callers while in a noisy environment. The same is true for the opposite side of the call. Meanwhile, the speakerphone is anything but extraordinary. With a relatively high volume and clarity, it sounds a little bit strained and lacking in depth. The Note 3 Neo is armed with a potent speaker that outputs considerable loudness, though it doesn't impress with exceptional clarity or depth. Samsung has placed a rather generous 3100 mAh battery pack in the Note 3 Neo, which sounds very promising for the resulting endurance. This is just shy of the Note 3's capacity, which has proven to be a marathon runner already. Samsung promises that the Note 3 Neo will be able to hold a charge for 18 hours of talk time and 22.5 hours of standby time on a 3G network. Granted that Samsung graces the Galaxy Note 3 Neo with a price tag that's low enough to make it a viable, affordable alternative to the Note 3, we can certainly see the Neo succeed, as it's a wonderful all-round performer for customers looking for a big screen smartphone from a well-known brand that's not going to absolutely thrash the bank. When you think about it, the Note 3 Neo really doesn't have any significant issues to consider aside from the questionable appearance and build quality. Yeah, the screen isn't really accurate, but if you can live with that, you may be able to enjoy the strikingly contrasty and pumped up Super AMOLED visuals. Plus, the diagonal at 5.5 inches content is bound to look super exciting. When it comes to the power that's lurking under the hood of the Galaxy Note 3 Neo, it may not be the most fearsome beast out there, but the hexa-core Exynos chipset seems to be doing a wonderful job at enabling a fluid experience throughout the system and in third-party applications. Meanwhile, the 8-megapixel shooter is nothing groundbreaking, but it does offer impressive photo-taking capabilities that will do a pretty good job most of the time. At the end of the day, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo is a very cool smartphone. Sadly, it's not really that cheaper compared to its larger sibling, the Note 3, which means that if size isn't an issue for you and you want to be on the cutting edge of portable technology, going for the Note 3 would probably be a good idea. Meanwhile, for those of you who would rather not cross the 5.5-inch mark, the Galaxy Note 3 Neo will offer a satisfying experience across the board. Thank you for watching our Samsung Galaxy Note 3 Neo video review. If you'd like to learn more about it, just check us out at PhoneArena.com.